document versus create.
I'm Jake, and my life is a mix of being a father, a husband, with a myriad of other interests. One of which is trying to start two separate businesses at the same time. One is self-sustaining, and the other is your typical software startup. All this to break away from the 9-to-5 life. And in success and in failure, I want to bring you along in the hopes of you learning from my experiences in real time. So welcome to the pursuit of everything. So I've gotten a few dozen DMs from young individuals who are just getting out of college and who are looking for sales organizations. They don't know where to start. They don't know how to look for a sales organization. They don't know what to look for, how to start the process. So really, I want to give you a few key steps to find the right organization, the right location. What are some of the questions you need to ask throughout this process so that you can actually find the organization that's going to be the best fit for you, get an interview, and also rock that interview as well. My name is Jacob Haynes. This is a pursuit of everything, where this is really my journey from breaking the 9-to-5 life to starting my own startup. You kind of get all of it documented here. And in the meantime, what I'd like to do is answer any questions that you might have. I recognize I'm not an expert really in anything. I'm probably just a person who knows a lot about a lot. But I promise you that if you do have questions that you want answered, ask them in the comment section below. If I don't know myself, then I'm going to research it and I'm going to find out the best path for you to take to answer your questions. Now, most of you that have reached out to me and said, hey Jake, I live in X, Y, and Z city. I'm going to be looking for a sales job over the next year or two. I'm just graduating college and I don't really know where to begin. Well, for most of you, that's great because that at least gives you a starting point to begin with. Because it's not going to be by location where we need to start. It needs to be by organization, or at least somewhat of an organization category. So for example, if you don't care where you want to end up, you're like, hey, listen, I'd love to be in Nashville, I'd love to be in Dallas, I'd love to be in Chicago. I don't really care. I just want to get out of my hometown. I get it. That's fine. But we have to start somewhere. So we either need to start with, a category like, let's say, nonprofit, or SaaS, or car sales, whatever it may be. Define that category down, or by location, so you can at least get a starting point. Once you boil it down to a few organizations, locations, categories, now you have a starting point. What I would do is I would go ahead and Google search best company to work for of your category that you've defined and or location. So let's say I'm looking to move to the Nashville area for a software as a service sales job. That's what I want to get into. That's where I want to be. Then I would Google best place to work in 2019 rated for software as a service sales organizations, whatever it may be. And that'll give you a better idea of, you'll probably find maybe 2 or 3 big lists from probably Glassdoor or some maybe local magazines that have listed some of the best organizations that have been rated for employee happiness. So that I would start at the ranking list of employee satisfaction as a really good place to start. And you can kind of grow from there as you understand. I like this company, but they don't have any positions open, but their sister company or the company that they're up against has some positions open and they're really similar. That will allow you to at least get a starting point where you can start to sift through where you want to look, what companies are open and what companies aren't. Because from this point, all you really need to do is find the companies that you want to work for, look through the lists that we talked about, and then we want to go ahead and maybe put on an Excel spreadsheet and let's boil it down to some of the key ones that you really like, that you're really excited about the product, you really like the employee satisfaction ratings, maybe a few friends over there. I would boil it down based on those key categories once you've had the time to actually go through each one of these organizations. And at this point, you should have a better idea of what these organizations are about, what they do, and what might excite you about them. But from this point, we want to get more of instead of a perspective of the organization, we want to get a better perspective of what employees are saying. Because we know if we've looked at those lists that they've been rated well by employees. So what are they specifically saying, right? From here, we want to go ahead and go to Glassdoor.com. Now, here's a quick little note about Glassdoor. It's just like any other Google ratings or anything else that's out there on the internet. Yelp, Google ratings, whatever. Look up your favorite restaurant, for example. And you'll find that there might be a lot of 5 stars. There might be some 4 stars, 3 stars, but predominantly there's going to be a lot of 5 stars and a few 1 stars here or there. Because bad news travels fast, and when someone is upset, they're obviously going to find some way to dismiss the company that they work for or the experience that they've had, at that restaurant in this example, right? So take that with a grain of salt, and I'll kind of help you guide through Glassdoor, because it's going to be the same thing. You're going to get a lot of 5 stars where people seem super happy, and a lot of 1 stars where people said it's the worst organization you could ever choose. Don't ever choose this company. So how do you navigate that? And just like anything else in the world, we really want to filter these reviews through a lens, right? Let's look for constructive criticisms. Let's look for constructive feedback. Are all the 5 stars really don't have much comments at all? Are all the 1 stars really jaded and angry? That'll give you a better idea. Okay, maybe a lot of this feedback isn't necessarily warranted. But if there's a lot of feedback where it's 5 stars where they could improve a little bit, and it seems like everyone's really genuine, then you're probably at the right company, or at least the right reviews that you could most likely trust. And we'll vet that a little bit later in the process. So once we've boiled down these companies that we're looking for, we found the location we eventually want to be at, or at least the category of organization we want to work for. Again, then we've used Glassdoor to get a better idea of employee feedback. Then we really want to vet this information. So more importantly, you want to get into more in-depth research. So once you've again boiled down those companies, let's go ahead and see on the careers page for each one of them what is open. So what kind of types of jobs are open, what's available now, what might be available later, and then get an idea of, from those different postings, they'll give you a better idea of what you may or may not be interested in. So again, I would suggest to be using Excel or some kind of Word document to keep track of this. So you can start with your location and organization type, to your boiled down list of the organizations you possibly want to work for, to the Glassdoor reviews and how they've been vetted. And then from there, again, we can go right into what positions are open that we could possibly go ahead and pursue and apply for now. And you might be saying, Jake, I really don't know what I'm looking at here. What is inside sales versus outside sales, or all these different jargons, right? And I would say just go ahead and read through the job descriptions and just kind of do as much research as you can to get a better idea of what does the job entail. Is it cold calling? Is it outside sales? Is it going to be full cycle, like maybe an account executive role? Or is it just going to be a business development role where you're just going to be cold calling the whole time? And understand yourself enough the most to say, okay, do I want to be a BDR making cold calls all day, every day for the next 2 or 3 years as I'm working my way up? Because that'll give you a better idea of, okay, maybe that's not the right organization for me. Maybe I need to find something, if I want to be in sales, full cycle, where you do everything from the cold calling to closing the business. Or maybe you want to do something more like you want to present and close business instead. Again, use your discretion here to get a better idea of what you do and don't want, and read through those job descriptions to figure out whether or not it's going to be a good fit or not. Now, I recognize that job descriptions and what an organization is going to put out there on a job posting is going to be relatively limited and somewhat confusing as well, because they can say the same term in a dozen different ways. But that's okay. If you have questions, keep going. Let's go ahead and again, let's keep refining. You might have been able to, as you're reading through the job description and thinking about what you want out of a job, been able to minimize maybe 1 or 2 other organizations or jobs. That's great. We're at least heading towards the right direction, because we're still going to vet some more of these jobs and what the actual job entails day in and day out a little bit later. So don't get too caught up in the details. Try to find out as much information as you can. And with that, as you come up with questions that you can't find answers to as you're doing your research, go ahead and write those things down or include it in your Excel spreadsheet, because that'll allow you to go ahead and have those questions out there in the forefront where you can start building that list, because we're going to vet that here shortly. And then from here, you want to go ahead and go into LinkedIn and find someone who has your job that you're prospectively looking at with that company. So again, you might have it refined down to 3, 4, 5 organizations and 5 different job types. So go ahead and search LinkedIn by the company and by the job title. And that should give you a list automatically on who's in that role. And go ahead and add them, or at least direct email them. I think it's what it's called on LinkedIn. And this will give us an opportunity to actually ask those questions we had previously. And I know it may seem kind of weird, I don't know, Jake, about, just cold DMing somebody on LinkedIn. And I promise you, people are much more open in this professional sphere when you're honest, humble, and open about that you're just needing some help. I've done it myself in the past, and people are really great about it. So I would find 2 specific people at least on LinkedIn within the organization who have that job that you want in that field with that company that you want. And I would find those 2 specific people, and they shouldn't be the same, in my opinion, if you can find it. Then as you cold DM them, I would just do some kind of message like, hey, my name is Jake. I'm going to be a newly graduated student, and I'm looking for a job with this company. I'm really excited about what you guys are doing, X, Y, and Z, industry, whatever it may be, that kind of livens you up. Let them know that you're a little bit human, right? And from there, just say, hey, I just really need some help. I'm possibly looking at this job that they have posted recently. I see that you have that job. I was just thinking if you could answer a few questions to kind of clear up that I couldn't get from the job description. Do you just have a few minutes to either hop on a call or answer them here in the DMs? And oftentimes, again, they're going to say yes, because they've been in that same situation where they had questions where no one was helping them. So they'll be more than happy to help you. And I have a few questions written down here. So here's some questions that I've asked people that you might want to ask as well, and some questions that I thought of on my own as well. So you can ask about comp structure, because it can be kind of vague in job descriptions. You can ask, how much do top performers make, which is going to be really important to know. But also, how much does the average rep make? So kind of understanding if you really kill it, how much will you as a top performer make? And then what will the average performer make? The average person there. Like the organization that I've worked for previously, I'd say the average rep who just kind of comes in, does their calls, gets through the day, doesn't really put a lot of effort into it, they probably make $60,000, $75,000. The top performers I know have cleared $125,000, $140,000. So again, we're talking about a massive difference between just showing up and really outperforming. And those are kind of things that you want to know. Essentially, you're trying to understand how well does the company reward you when you go above and beyond. Ask them, would they recommend this company to friends and family? What are some challenges they're running into? What are some things that they love about the company? What kind of hiring attributes are they looking for in potential candidates? Those are going to be some good things that you can keep in your back pocket that you can take into your interview. And of course, you want to assure them that you want brutal honesty here. It doesn't do you any good, doesn't do them any good if they're saying, yeah, this place is great, but really they hate it. So that's why we want to get multiple people's perspective as much as we can to get a better idea of truly how this organization operates and what the sales role looks like day in and day out. And that's really it on what I think would be a good few first steps to get you headed in the right direction. Again, a lot of you have DM'd me asking, what would I do if I had to start all over again? And this is exactly what I would do. So follow these steps. Let me know if you have any other questions. If you come across any issues, let me know in the comment section below. Or if you have any topics for future videos, let me know as well. I'll tell you the next 2 ones that are going to be piggybacking off of this. The next video is going to be once you research your company, now you want to try to get an interview. So how do you increase your chances of getting an interview with your prospective company? And then also, how do you nail the interview once you got the interview? So those are going to be the next 2 videos I'm going to be working on. So if you have any other questions or have any other topics that you want answered, please let me know in the comment section below, or you can reach out to me on DM as you guys have previously. I hope this has helped. And again, my name is Jacob Haynes with Pursuit of Everything. All I could ask that you could do is subscribe and ask more questions. I'd love to help you guys more. I appreciate it.